Am I live? Okay, good. I'm like, I gotta set a timer, guys. I have to talk quick. I'm gonna be sending this video out to somebody. I want my father to watch it. And he doesn't have smartphone or anything. He's not technologically advanced, but I gotta set a timer to this because if I don't, I could talk for 30 minutes and I don't have 30 minutes. I got to get going. I like to leave at like 8:15 or 8:20 for the gym, and parking is bad. So I like to arrive early. Okay. So shame. What a topic to talk about, right? What a topic. But uh thank you, Diane, for leading me and guiding me in my life now. Uh I'm gonna bring the timer up so I can see it. Yeah. So I have been busy. Um, there's some things are going on in my life I can't really uh share yet. It's too early, but I still have a life to live. I still have to look for work. But there are a few things going on in my life that I just can't share publicly yet. They're very good things, but it's too early to share because once you tell one person, once you tell the other, they start talking and they're like, Sandra's going here, Sandra's going there, blah, blah, blah. It's too early. I got to keep it on the download. So, other than this new thing going on in my life, I still got to look for work. I still got to eat. I still got to clean my place up and do all that stuff. And in addition, learning. I have a life to live and I need to learn. It's a continuous growth thing. Um, so how I got here, briefly, if I can do it in 3 minutes, Diane Donohue. Met her at Toastmasters in April of 2016. I think it was April. She was out for a while because she wasn't well that year and didn't really get to know her until 2018 after my mom died, February 3rd, 2018. And then she started coaching me. And um, she recently passed. I think it was 27th or 26th of February. I don't know exactly which day, but um, I'm still getting downloads from her. And it will come up in my YouTube on my phone. Um, I was watching probably about 3 or 4 podcasts a day. I cannot do that any longer. I cannot do 4 or 5 or 3. I can do 1 or 2 short 15, 20 minutes. But an hour podcast, I can't do it. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. This new thing is taking me away from that. So, but some of the people that she mentioned were, and I have a list. Let me get it because I don't remember everything right off the top of my hat. Okay, some of the people that she mentioned, The Work by Byron Katie. She mentioned her a lot. Gretchen, I think her name's Gretchen Rubin. I know her first name's Gretchen, but I believe her last name is Rubin. The Four Tendencies. If it's not Rubin, please forgive me. But it's the Four Tendencies. She talked about that a lot. Brene Brown. She talked about her a lot. She is a shame researcher. And then there is the self-coaching model by Brooke Castillo. Now, I wish I knew who came up with this model. Diane Donohue didn't, but it's all over her stuff. Okay, I kept it. This stuff is paperwork. It's her. I know it's backwards, but I can't do anything about that. Or if I can, I don't know how to flip it to where you can see it. So everything is backwards, but this is typed up by Diane. And you could see circumstance, thoughts, feelings, actions, and then results. So it's the CT CTFAR model. And I wish I knew who came up with it because if you look that up, you're going to find several names associated with it. You're going to find Tiffany Goyer. She's an LMFT, a licensed married family therapist. You're going to find another one, Delan Wingert, and then you're going to find the self-coaching model, Brooke Castillo. I don't know if Diane went to this coaching school. Don't know. I don't know what coaching school she went to. I have no idea. I don't even know if she went to anyone. I have no idea. Never thought to ask her which school she went to, and never thought to ask her. Uh, so these people, and there's others that are other names like is it Dr. Gundry, that talks about the lectins. Don't eat lectins, or that cause leptin, or they block leptin. There's just all these people that she talks about, and they're trickling in my YouTube feed, because who you listen to, the algorithms in YouTube will say, oh, you listen to that, maybe you should listen to this. The last big discussion that we had, Diane and I, the last big one was I believe it's called the Dunning-Kruger Effect, where you think you are this smart, but you're not really this smart. I think what she was really trying to tell me was the opposite, which is it's right there on the tip of my tongue, guys. It's the imposter syndrome. Okay. Imposter syndrome. That's where you think you don't know a lot, but you do. You think you're not smart, but you are. You tend to ask, who am I to teach this? Who am I to do a YouTube video? Who am I to do a presentation on blah, 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 when I don't know enough? That's imposter syndrome. The opposite is that Dunning-Kruger effect, where you think you're all that in a bag of chips and you don't know shit. And believe me, I don't have that. I have the imposter syndrome. And you don't know what you don't know. And why do you think I'm on these podcasts and learning? I mean, I'm reading the book, Learn Optimism. Okay, we're going back to, I think that book was written in 1991. And there might have been a different updated thing, because that book is based on the DSM-3R. It's not based on the DSM-4. I looked up grief in the back of the book, and there is nothing on grief because of the whole DSM-3 and, all the, yeah, I don't want to get into that. So I am who I am today, in part because of Diane coaching me, but there's still things that I'm learning. I'm getting downloads, and I have notes, guys. I have a whole folder of stuff that Diane gave me. Okay. So this stuff didn't end when she passed. So I find it very interesting. Brene Brown, that video came up in my feed. This is why you feel lost, lazy, and unmotivated in life. Brene Brown. You could look up Louise Howes, Howes. I subscribe to him. And this podcast is 59 minutes. I don't have time to listen to that this morning. I'll have to do it this afternoon, or maybe in a 2-day thing. I can listen to it 2 days, because I got a lot of stuff that I need to do. But I find it interesting that she talks about shame. And I thought, shame. So shame, if you want to know my shame, you have to go back a few videos and watch a few videos of mine on my channel. I talk about my shame, the stethoscope, listening to my heartbeat. I talk about it. And she's a shame researcher. And she talks about being alone, and how we don't like being alone, and how we need to be being alone. I didn't get much into it. But Diane has mentioned her just here and there, and a little bit here and there and here and there. And I need to spend some time listening to this podcast. And I have questions from my father that I need to ask him. And it's very difficult for me to call him, because I can only reach him basically from the time of 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 12 noon. Maybe that's it. Or if it's not 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to noon, then it's noon Pacific Standard Time to 2 in the afternoon Pacific Standard Time. That's it. And I am extremely busy at noon. It's, I get out of the gym if my class is at 9. I get out of the gym at 10. If I'm talking to someone, I don't get in the car until 10:10 Pacific Standard Time. And then it takes me 20 minutes to drive home because I don't live in Menifee. I live in Paris. And then if I stop anywhere, I'm not going to get home until 11 a.m. And that's when the real work starts. I don't go into meditation. I tell myself, get home, meditate. Get home and meditate 15 minutes. Just sit quietly with yourself. Don't get on YouTube. Don't get on anything. Don't clean. Don't clean up. Don't do anything that I need to do for this big thing that's starting soon. This big thing is starting soon, and I'm not going to announce it. I'm not going to announce it anywhere until later. So, and I don't get home and meditate. I wait until the end of the day, and I forget because I get busy. And 11 a.m., that's when I'm in the zone. That's when I'm in the zone of doing whatever I need to do for this new thing coming up. And it could be making a lot of phone calls for all these doctor's appointments before May. And I forget. And the shame that my mom must have had, the background of my mom, she was born in 52, but her mom was married to a gay man. And my mom, couldn't really talk about the shame, but her mom, my grandmother, my mom was born in 1952. You didn't talk in the 50s about somebody married to a gay man. You hid it under the covers. You didn't talk about it. So my mom had rheumatic fever at the age of 2. I guess she went down with her mother and her father, or her mother, because by the time my mom was born, my grandma and grandpa were already broken up. They weren't lovers. They were friends, but they didn't sleep together. Okay, it's kind of hard to sleep together if you're a gay man. So I guess my mom went, her fever. Now, what is that? I don't know. It can affect your heart. I don't know a lot about it. All I know is you could be playing 1 minute and then boom, 105. Your fever could be 105 the next, and it could be fatal because when your fever gets to 105, 106, it's very dangerous. And I'm sure it could affect the brain and kill off brain cells. I'm sure it can. But my mom told me she was often in the hospital as a little girl. She grew out of it when she was about 12. So she would be in the hospital for, I don't know, weeks, months. I don't know how long. I don't know if my dad knows this stuff. Maybe he does. Maybe he can fill me in on some stuff. But the shame, because my mother would tell me, my mom would just leave me at home alone. And I said, wait a minute. You were 8? And she goes, yeah. My mom would just leave and say, bye, I'm leaving. I'm going out with my friends. And I said, well, her dad was an alcoholic. Was your mom an alcoholic? She goes, no. My mom was an alcoholic. No. She was a social drinker. And I'm like, she left you alone. Hello? She left you alone. What do you mean? What are you telling me? She wasn't an alcoholic? What? How can you say she wasn't an alcoholic if she left you alone? And I asked my mom, when did she come back? Oh no, whenever she wanted to. And I'm like, so you were an 8-year-old kid in 1960, and your mom would tell you she's going out, and you would have no idea as an 8-year-old kid. No brother, no sister. Her sister was 18 years old by the time my mom was born. Her 18-year-old sister was already out on her own by the time my mom was born. Okay, so there was no connection. There was no sibling connection between my mom and her older sister, and her older sister was her half sister. Same mom, different dad. So there was no bonding there between my mom and my aunt. Nothing. So can you imagine now public child protective services would be on that like that. So I didn't get to know my grandma because she died when I was 3 in a car accident. A drunk driver hit her, or sober driver. According to my mom, a sober driver hit my grandma. Died instantly when I was 3. I have pictures of my grandma, but I do not remember her. But I would love to pick her brain, because why would you leave my mother alone, home alone, to go out with Ernie, my grandpa, Ernie, to have social drinks with him and party and do whatever you do, and leave my mom home alone? I'm not a big fan of Al-Anon and AA because of all the God thing, and I'm powerless. I'm powerless. I'm powerless. I have no power. I have no power. I'm not a really big fan because of the God thing, but we do have power. We have control over our own selves. I can't control what other people do, but I can control me. And the whole powerless thing. And there's a whole learn about children of alcoholics, what they become. What do children of alcoholics become? What do they experience? The shame. My mom was a child of an alcoholic man, but I am a child of my mom. So what did her raising of me, because I was kind of coddled and not a lot of tough love. I was only child. So, you know, there's a lot of research that I got to do on what happens to children of alcoholics. Do they become codependents? I got books on codependency here. Are you kidding me? I got like 3 or 4 of them. And the AA model, the 12-step model, I do not like, because of all the God this, God that, rely on God, pray, and like, I'm done. So, I'm thinking, what amount of shame did my mom have as a 10, 12, 13-year-old girl in the early 60s? Because in 62, she was 10. She couldn't just go around telling everybody her father was a gay man. And she probably didn't want anybody to know that her mom went out to party and she left home alone. She was probably scared. I don't know if CPS was around and established at those times, but now it is. And I'm sure CPS was around in the 1980s. It had to have been. So my mom was scared and I asked her, "What'd you do?" "Oh, I got encyclopedias," but I never asked her this one question. This is where I need my father to fill me in, if he knows. How could my grandma leave my mom home alone if she got rheumatic fever at the age of 2? When my mom was 8, how can she just leave my mom home alone and grandma just go off and say, "I'll be back later," knowing that my grandma knew that her daughter had a child that could fall down instantly, be playing in the living room and doing whatever, playing with dolls, whatever my mom did. I don't know what my mom did back in those days, but whatever she was doing, she was playing. And then, because that's what my mom told me, she goes, "Oh, I would be playing one minute and then down on the floor the next." And my mom would hear a thud because my mom fell. How do you do that? How do you, as a parent, know that your child has rheumatic fever, that she got at 2, and then she outgrew it by the age of 12? How do you do that? That is what I need to know from my father. How do you think this impacted my mother? How do you see these events in my mom's childhood, from the shame that she had to have carried of that, and then knowing her mother treated her and all that and everything? How did that impact her as an adult and as a parent? There's stuff that I need to understand. And of course, someday I'm going to have this discussion with my father. Tell me about your parents. Tell me about your upbringing. And I don't know when that's going to be. I don't know when that's going to be, because I got stuff going on here in California and I can't move to Texas right now. So I wish I would have asked that question to my mom. How can your mom do that to you when she knew you had rheumatic fever? But I didn't get a chance. I didn't think of asking my mom that question. And I can't because my mom's in heaven. So I got a lot of digging to do to find out what happens to adult children of alcoholics. Maybe my mom became a codependent. I'm sure we became codependent on each other. I'm sure we did. It wasn't good. The last two years, it was hard taking care of her. It was hard because I didn't have any help. But it was hard to last the last 10 years too. In my 30s, it was hard. It was difficult. And I heard that mothers and daughters can't live together. I don't know if it's true, but I heard mothers and daughters it's difficult. So that's it, guys. I hope Grace does let my dad listen to this. I hope somehow, some way, my dad can listen to this because there are things that I need filled in about my mother. I gotta go. It's time for me to get to the gym and go. Bye.